Okay. So the pineal gland. Again, it's the third eye. Let's really get into what the third eye is. Because remember, I believe, and I know, but I believe that it's really important to stop using words that we don't understand to describe things that we don't understand, because it'll lead you into a deeper misunderstanding. So I know that we, flagrantly, we just say my third eye, my third eye, my third eye. Well, it's your first eye, but let's really get into what the pineal gland is. All right, let's take a look. All right, and this is from the National Institute of Health. This is from a government resource, which is considered an authoritative source, which is important. Don't just Google shit, but actually go find an authoritative source. They describe the pineal gland was described as the seat of the soul by Rene Descartes, and it is located in the center of the brain. The main function of the pineal gland is to receive information about the state of the light-dark cycle from the environment and convey this information to produce and secrete the hormone melatonin. The rhythmic production of melatonin, secreted only during the dark period of the day, is extensively used as a marker of the phase of the internal circadian clock. All right, so again, in short, it's saying that we use the pineal gland to regulate melatonin secretion between the light and dark cycles, meaning is it daytime, is it nighttime? Okay, it's nighttime, it's dark, let's secrete melatonin so we can go to what? We can go to sleep. The pineal gland actually does a little bit more, but I want to keep it simple for now. And I just want to take a dive into the endocrine system. Now, I'm not going to do this, but let's take a look at what this professor has to say.
The pineal gland lies deep within the brain. It's on the midline. Here is our pineal gland. It sits just below the corpus callosum and just above the midbrain. The pineal gland is not controlled by the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland like a lot of other endocrine glands are, but it does receive a lot of its main input from it. It's an endocrine loop. It's a neuroendocrine loop that begins with the retina. Light coming into the retina, going through the optic nerve, goes to a structure within the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Here is, of course, like our eye. So if we had retina here, and then optic nerve, which is, remember, is cranial nerve number 2, goes to the hypothalamus, which is this area, and it goes to a specific area of the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. The suprachiasmatic nucleus sends axons through the midbrain or through the brainstem into the spinal cord, and it goes to the intermediate lateral cell column, which, if you remember from the neuroMOOC, is where the preganglionic sympathetic neurons live. Okay? Those neurons then send axons out into the sympathetic chain, and specifically in this case to the superior cervical ganglion. And as you recall from autonomics, the superior cervical ganglion is the sympathetic outflow for the entire head and neck. The superior cervical ganglion then innervates the pineal gland and stimulates it to secrete melatonin.
Okay, so if we just use the, I guess not popular, but the more public information, if we don't dive too deep, how they describe the pineal gland doesn't make it sound like it's special, like it's a special gland, like it can do something really, really cool, but it really, really can. But this is what I mean by you're going to have to put on your scientist hat your investigative hat, your researcher hat, and you're going to have to dive deep for this information. And no, just because it's available from an authoritative source doesn't mean it's necessarily accurate or it's not distorted or deceiving. Use your discernment, okay? But I showed you the comparison between the human eye and the camera lens for a really good reason. The human eye and the pineal gland, the first eye, they both have rods and cones, okay? Let me read to you what the rods and cones are, and then we'll take a look at a diagram so we can kind of see what rods and cones are within the human eye. So the pineal gland and the human eye both have rods and cones. Two types of photoreceptors reside in the retina, cones and rods. These cones are responsible for daytime vision, while the rods respond to underdark conditions. The cones come in three varieties, L, M, and S, and that's for long, middle, and short wavelength. Remember, we're light wavelength. Each cone type responds to a different portion of the visible spectrum, allowing for color vision. Rods have a spectral sensitivity that differs from cones. Photoreceptors are specialized cells for detecting light. Okay, so the same way that our human eyes have rods and cones that can not only detect light, but also see across the visible spectrum so we could see in color, those same exact cones and rods are found within our pineal gland. Now, why would the pineal gland need to sense light in color? From what we just read a few moments ago, it just said it was there to regulate the light and dark cycle and to secrete melatonin for sleep. But what would you need color vision for if you're just going to sleep? All right, let's keep going. So these are diagrams of the human eye and the structure and how rods and cones are situated within the human eye. I won't say too much. This is not my, I guess you could say I'm not so much, just take a look, study it. Okay. Now I want to just give you a little bit more information about the pineal gland. And again, this is also from the National Institute of Health. This is a government website. You can actually go visit them in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure if they are still allowing the public to come in and search research documents because of COVID. But I know once upon a time you could actually visit them, just like you could also visit the Library of Congress and other places like that where you can actually physically see documentation versus the internet. So I hope to get back to that. But anyway, the pineal gland is located in the dorsal, I cannot pronounce that, and it contains both rod and cone photoreceptor cells. The pineal photoreceptor cells share great homologies, and that means the state of having the same or similar relation or structure with the retinal photoreceptor cells. All right, so this is the same exact thing I just said. The same exact rods and cones in the human eye that are used to pick up across the visible spectrum so we could see in color, those same rods and cones are within the pineal gland. Why would the pineal gland need to pick up light in color if it's just there for us to sleep? Maybe because it's not. Okay, let's keep going. The pineal gland, the transmitter released from the, the sympathetic fibers. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The transmitter released from the sympathetic fibers is influenced by environmental light. Light mediates in this way the activity of hormone-producing enzymes in the pineocytes. The pineocytes is a primary cell type in the pineal gland. The main function of the pineocytes is the secretion of the hormone melatonin. So again, we're still being led to believe that this pineal gland that can pick up light and color is still primarily there just to pick up or secrete melatonin. We know it's not. And in the next sleep stage, I'm going to actually touch on how the pineal gland in some groups of people actually secretes melanin, not just melatonin, but in certain groups of people, the pineal gland actually secretes melatonin. And in the groups of people who do not secrete melanin from their pineal gland, they found that they actually secrete sulfur. We don't need to go any further right now. I just thought it was something cool to throw out that a certain group of people can secrete melanin and a group of people who cannot secrete sulfur. What it means, don't know. Let's keep going.